AI and HPC storage are rapidly growing areas within the industry. While the capacity demand continues increasingly, it has become clear that existing distributed and parallel file systems are no longer able to meet the requirements of the data-centric workloads. Learn about distributed asynchronous object storage, that's DAOS, an open source software defined scale out object store that provides high bandwidth, low latency, and high IO operations per second storage to HPC and AI applications in a single storage tier from Andrey Kudryavtsev, HPC storage solution architect and DAOS product manager from our platinum sponsors, Intel Corporation. In his keynote, Advanced Storage and Memory Hierarchy in AI and HPC with DAOS Storage. Please welcome on your screens, Andrey Kudryavtsev.
Thank you, Andrey. Thank you for letting me to present the keynote. It's been an honor to open the session. And I'll talk today about one interesting product that we developed at Intel in the open source domain. It's my passion in storage. Historically, it's been developed for the HPC, AI, and big data, but certainly it could be applied to other areas. And so the name of this project is DAOS, which stands for Distributed Asynchronous Object Storage. We will talk about this later, but keep in mind it's only 15-minute keynote, so I cannot go deep. If we need to go deep, my colleague Jean Lombardi, he has his own session. Okay, so let me turn off my camera. Hopefully it would be better for the quality to save some bandwidth. And so let's get started. I hope you can hear me well. Okay, what is the problem that we are solving the DAOS product? So originally, DAOS, again, which stands for Distributed Asynchronous Object Storage, has been developed as the answer to the growing demand on the storage performance. And this coming from many places. This coming from the applications, which are certainly produce way more data than before and consume way more data. But that also comes with the some limitations of existing solutions, such as with the traditional file systems. In the design of file systems today, every time you write the data or you open the file or you update some metadata in a POSIX compliant file system, you cause a file system to have some locks while you operate with the metadata. And especially true when you access to the same piece of the data from multiple systems at the same time and parallel writing or updating the same data that could result in the same block, that also creates some locks. This is known as POSIX locks. And at the huge scale of the high performance system installation or AI clusters, these locks are absolutely obvious and could create the lags in the performance of a file system. So at some point we needed to address this, and that was actually the problem that we are solving with DAOS in our product development. So let's talk about quickly what is DAOS and what type of problem it's solving. So DAOS is distributed object storage. Distributed environment means that you run system across multiple storage systems, and we can present this capacity specific to the application interface. So it could be a traditional file system, but more importantly, it could be something way more advanced than just a normal file system. We call it application interface, and there are different ways to interface it directly to the application in such a way so you really consider DAOS not to be a file system. You operate that as an application store or some really far memory for your application. So that is a basic explanation. It can be utilized standalone or in combined with other storage solutions together to create the hybrid distributed storage environment, which makes sense for many installations today where some users, they have a growing demand for the data storage. So that could be your archive or cold data storage. And in the meantime, you still have to have some performance storage to run your application with the maximum possible performance. So this is what DAOS is actually addressing. it's getting really interesting in the design of this product because underneath the technology relies on the, first of all, modern development in the software that is basically designed to utilize the latest hardware. This hardware is, well, in the production, it's available in the market. It's not something that you buy specifically, like customized. It's a standard off-the-shelf systems that run the NVMe SSDs, which are known for the performance today. But in addition to the NVMe SSDs, it runs together with Intel persistent memory. So the combination of both products provides you the performance that's needed for metadata storage that sits in the persistent memory, and for the actual data chunks which reside on the NVMe SSDs. So we're getting basically the best of both worlds. The amazing bandwidth of NVMe PCI Express SSDs, at the same time, the ultimate performance of a small I/O cache line operations that's needed for metadata performance. So on top of these two hardware technologies, so this modern stack sits and actually presents itself as the DAOS engine that then can be consumed by the application with application-specific interfaces. So I'll get to that on the next slide. But basically, underneath the DAOS engine is a high-performance key-value store. So it's really optimized for the performance delivery, but the actual data can reside in the different structures in the different formats. That's why it's so interesting today for developing AI applications, where you just straight put the data into the DAOS, and you are not limited to what previously you saw with the applications and traditional file systems. So let's take a look on what you see inside the DAOS ecosystem. We call it middleware. And basically, middleware is how your application interfaces to DAOS storage. Of course, we support the native interface, but one of our basically goals is to provide the transparent application interfacing. It's a seamless integration between the end user application and the DAOS. In a basic way, DAOS can be your file system, so you can still operate with a POSIX interface to run your legacy files or to run any type of applications that uses file I/O. But the whole advantage is coming when you use some specific application interfaces, such as integrated with TensorFlow, integrated with PyTorch or Python for AI and big data development. DAOS can transparently manage the Hadoop file system HDFS and presents itself as HDFS to Hadoop applications. We are providing the standard interfaces for the HPC users. It's known as HDF5 or MPI IO. And we also do development for the traditional cloud interfaces, such as with Astra interface and with Block interface. So there's a whole subset of the different ways how you connect to DAOS fully transparently for the application. But of course, at the same time, we encourage users to run their own applications to leverage these unique capabilities of a high-performance key-value store. In the cluster design, so let's take the look on the whole infrastructure when users run their applications. That's example for the HPC applications or AI clusters. What you see here is basically is a combination of a different type of a hardware. So on the left side, it's your compute nodes. You see them as a small, but in fact, that could be much larger than the whole configuration of storage systems. Then you see DAOS in the middle. That is your centerpiece of the hot data. This is where the data resides that's needed for the processing of a cluster at the moment. And then you have a multiple tiers of a data hierarchy that could coexist together with DAOS. It can be your any other file system with POSIX interface, such as an HPC. It could be Lastra, Spectrum Scale. It could be BGFS or any other type of the POSIX compliant file system. And it can be some integration with cloud storage. This is where you put the data outside of your on-prem environment into the cloud environment for whatever reason. You can just scale workload into the cloud, and in that case, it's just data migration to the cloud for another expansion of the performance. or it can be the ways how the data sits for the cold storage with S3 compliant storage. So in all the ways, DAOS sits in this tip of the storage performance, but we highly integrate it with other storage solutions. How DAOS actually to be the open source product, how actually it works with other technologies together, and how we work with the ecosystem of products. So this is just a slide where you see different partners working with Intel on DAOS enabling deployment and end user support. Obviously, we do not require any custom hardware, but there are some recommendations on the platform that it needs to support NVMe, SSDs, and persistent memory. And there's a whole list of partners who are working with us and qualified their systems for DAOS use. And a whole list of other resellers and the ways how you can actually get the systems and purchase these as a parts or as a full managed services. Okay, so basically getting to the end, what I want to bring here in the keynote, DAOS is the open source product. We are public. All the development that we are doing happening in the GitHub. The main DAOS page is daos.io, and it will then, you'll see there a link to the GitHub repository. All the work that we are doing is happening in the real time. We are in the production DAOS 2.0 release already, and we continue developing it. Also, I'm highly encourage you to join us in the DAOS Slack channel. Here is a link, but if by any reason you don't remember this link, just go to the main website and sign up for the mailing list, and you'll receive the invitation to the Slack channel as well. And I'm also encouraging you to learn more about DAOS. We have lots of trainings specific to how DAOS operates in our YouTube channel. If you just Google in YouTube the DAOS, you certainly will find all of these tracks. And next week is the International Supercomputing event in Germany, and I hope I could see some of you there. And as at Intel, we'll be speaking a lot about DAOS as well. So with all of that, thanks for joining Intel Keynote. I'm telling you, thank you very much, and hope to see you soon. And please join the session by Chief DAOS Architect later, Joan Lombardi. He will get deep dive into the DAOS capabilities. Thank you.